greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous. The greatest hypnotist on planet Earth is a oblong box in the corner of the room. It is constantly telling us what to believe is real.
Daily drop number 3. And that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it, folks? The box in our house, the TV set, is always telling us what to think, what to believe, what is real, what is not real. And for the longest time, we were forced to just suck it up. We were forced to believe what they told us, what they printed in the newspapers. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the ability to talk to each other. We didn't have the ability to dig deeper into their lies. And that's what we're doing. We're digging deeper into their lies now. They've got away with it for so long. They've gotten away with it with so many different instances with their cover-ups, and we're not gonna stand for it this time. And that's what we're all doing here. And I'm glad you guys are all joining me once again for another episode. And we're here. It's Friday night, and I just got done watching the New York Yankees beat the Minnesota Twins in a very interesting first game of the playoffs. So that's why this drop is a little bit late. Sorry about that. But today was a very slow news day anyway in the Epstein case. There really wasn't much going on. And you know how Fridays are. Fridays are usually pretty slow news days. So I gather unless something really exciting happens in the Epstein case on Fridays, I'll probably keep these nice and to the point, pretty short and to the point. That way, you know, what I want to do is I want to make sure that these are out there every day so that we do not miss one. You know, I want to make sure that we keep all the news nice and orderly and we keep it flowing in a nice, productive manner so that at the end of the week, when Lee and I are discussing it, we could wrap it all up and we can go through all the stuff that we've talked about on these dailies and kind of give updates on different things that have happened throughout the day and throughout the week. That way we are right on top of this stuff and nothing catches us by surprise when it comes to this Epstein case. So I just want to talk a little bit about how the narrative is run in this story, how this story is being run. They're really trying to kill this story, the mainstream media. It's not getting the attention it should be getting. And I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of people that are important, obviously, and people that are close to the ones who run these media companies could be seriously hurt by their names being brought up in this case, especially if it's brought up in a courtroom setting. So we're seeing a lot of avoidance of this topic. I mean, you still have some good articles being written by some people. You have, you know, the New York Times dropped that good article last night down in Miami. They're the ones who broke this case, put the pressure on, so the case was reopened, really. You know, so you got to give them their credit for sure. But besides that, now that the story is getting down into the nuts and bolts and the very small moving parts of everything, you see a lot of people backing off and you see a lot of people moving towards other things that they think the public wants to talk about, when in reality it's obvious that this is a topic that the public wants to talk about. This show was created out of nothing, just on a whim, and where every single one of our shows has over 1,000 downloads, except for the two latest ones from yesterday and the day before, and both of those are trending right towards that. So there's obviously an interest in this story, and I'm glad that all of you guys have found me and I found you, and we're going to go on this quest together like I was talking about to make sure that we stay on top of this. Because if we let them get away with something like this, then, man, I don't even know. I think all hope is lost, honestly. If this case turns out and nobody goes to prison for this and there's no justice for these victims, my faith in the Justice Department is already teetering on the very edge. And if this happens, then forget about it. There's no way that I could have any faith in the Justice Department or the different organizations that are involved with the Justice Department, the FBI, et cetera, et cetera. I already have zero trust in the intelligence community, as you guys all know if you've been listening to the show. If not, go back, start from the very beginning, and see how we got here. We have 10 episodes uploaded so far for you guys to download. This will be number 11. And go back from the very beginning and download them and listen to the stuff we've talked about and see how the mainstream media catches on with that same sort of stuff, but it's always later. It's like they try and hold back almost. Whereas if it's something involving Ukraine or Donald Trump, they rush it to the press without even vetting it. It's just bad journalism all around. And if a guy like me has to sit around and create a podcast because it's not this case isn't getting the coverage it deserves, and that obviously shows you that there's something going on. There's something wrong. I mean, these people have the resources to cover multiple stories at once. I mean, they're huge, gigantic, ginormous outlets, and yet here we are. So I guess it's left up to us to make media great again. That's going to be my new slogan. We're making media great again here at the Epstein podcast, because the media as it is just absolutely positively terrible. They don't ever tell the real story. And when they do tell the real story, they try and slant it to protect people that they think that they should protect. And what it does is it causes a huge, gigantic divide in the country between the common folks. And then once they cause that divide, and the common folks are so worried about the everyday impeachment, and is Donald Trump going to do this, or what did Donald Trump tweet, what did Nancy Pelosi do today, we don't really focus on the things that are going on behind the scenes, the things that deserve our attention, such as this. There is no excuse for Jeffrey Epstein walking on the first time he was busted. There's no excuse for him not serving serious time and for this whole entire thing to be put on blast. There is no excuse for those other girls who were abused after he was convicted. There's no excuse for them being abused. And the prosecutors and everybody that was involved, the stain's on their hands. They're the ones to blame in this. And, we could go on and 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 on about Acosta, but he has been on record talking about how Epstein was owned by intelligence and he was told to keep his hands off. So while Acosta deserves his share of the blame, because at the end of the day the buck stops with him, he was the one prosecuting the case, his office, so he's in charge there, and I'm very big on personal responsibility, so he has to step up to the plate and take that bullet. But at the same time, we need to know what intelligence he was working for, who was his handler, and if that means Acosta needs to be subpoenaed by the prosecutors, well then, hey, let's do it. Let's get it rocking, because you're not going to tell me that this guy was being run as an asset and nobody else knew and nobody knows now, and the people that do know now, well, they're involved in a cover-up. This is no longer a conspiracy. This is a straight-up cover-up. Anyone who wants to say it's a conspiracy, I really don't know what to say to you. I guess enjoy being gaslit by the mass media. Enjoy your Rachel Maddow shows and your Russia collusion experiences and all of that jazz, because this ain't the place for you if you believe that stuff. If you've fallen into that trap and you think that the mainstream media has your best interest at heart and they're trying to push the stories that mean the most to you, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I implore you to get out of that echo chamber, like I said in the other drop. It is crucial, especially for a story like this, for you to suspend your bias. And you need to, prepare for the fact that people that you like may end up being part of this whole entire sordid ordeal. So you need to understand that, it's the media doesn't care. The media truly doesn't care if they're telling us the truth about this story or any other story. What the media cares about, all the media cares about, is moving units and selling papers or getting clicks or getting you to tune in on the TV. The Fourth Estate has totally failed us, especially in this case. The Fourth Estate is supposed to be that rock. They're supposed to be there. They're supposed to be the bulwark that stands there and tells the people in power, well, we're not going to take it. Well, they are the people in power now, and they're the ones being funded by the people in power, and they're so scared to lose their cushy gigs that they're not going to step out onto a limb and step up to the plate when they're needed to step up to the plate. I mean, just take a look at what they did during the lead up to the Iraq War. They were all in bed with the intelligence services. The CIA was basically running stories in the New York Times, and now they're going to act like they're some kind of they're the pinnacle of truth and the pinnacle of righteousness. It's just BS. It's absolute BS. And the New York Times and the rest of the powerhouse publications, the Washington Post, and they all need to get on board, and they need to put the resources that this case deserves up and push this case where it deserves it. And that's the very top of the news cycle, because we're not going to take it. We're not going to sit back. We're not going to take it this time. We're not going to just be like, all right, that's cool. You guys got us again. We were mad, but we're not anymore, because that's not the case this time. The people that were involved, anybody who was involved with enabling, anybody who was involved, who engaged in the acts with them, anybody who was involved in any sort of crime covering this up needs to be arrested. Every single last person. I don't care who it is. The investigations need to occur, and these people need to be brought to justice. And that's just the way it needs to be. And unless that happens, I will have zero faith in this Justice Department, this justice system. And honestly, I don't even know that there is a future for the West if a case like this goes without any punishment, because our whole entire society is based on law and order and not having a two-tier justice system where the most rich and the most elite amongst us get off, while the rest of us stand along on the road holding our hands out, waiting for a little bit of crumb to come back. The fact of the matter is, they don't have any special abilities, or they're not special people. They put their socks on the same way we do in the morning. And if Epstein was engaged in crimes and his powerful and rich buddies were helping him cover up these crimes, well, they need to be brought to account as well. So anyway, like I said, slow news day, just a little bit of a rant, just touching base with everybody, letting you guys know that we're going to have some more stuff coming up next week. Obviously, as the news breaks, we'll be dropping and following it. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll drop something tomorrow. It'll probably be another short one depending on the news, but we'll be here and we'll be rocking and rolling, and we're ready to go. We're ready to follow this to the very end, and we're ready to go down whatever rabbit hole it leads, because this is important. This is the most important case that I can remember, to be honest with you. In my opinion, this case is so important because it shines a spotlight on the obvious two-tier justice system in this country. And that's just not something that's acceptable for any of us. And it doesn't matter what your political leanings are, or who you voted for, or what part of the country you're from. I think that's one thing that we can all agree on, that this country, justice needs to be administered fairly, and it needs to be administered correctly. So if we don't have that, if we don't have a justice system that we can all rely on, we're in big trouble in this country, and it's going to descend into anarchy pretty quick. All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Epstein Show, the Daily Drop, and we will be talking to you guys tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. Later.